I know everyone's secret. I see the lipstick on colors and the hidden nickel bottles. But the secret inside that trusted van, parked outside my window per week. My name is Elliot. I've owned a spin cycle laundromat on Main Street for 20 years. I'm not a sentimental guy. I run a basement. If you loiter, I kick you out. If you don't buy a wash cycle, you don't use the Wi-Fi. That's the rule. In this economy, I have to be tough. Electricity costs are up, rent is up, and patience is down. But then came the Tuesday call. I didn't know her name at first. She looked about 30, tired-eyed, wearing a paid delivery driver uniform. She'd come in around 9 p.m. with a little boy, maybe 7 years old. They never started a machine. They would sit in the back corner. The boy would pull out a workbook and give math problems on the folding table. The woman would go into the restroom for 20 minutes at a time. When she came out, her hair would be wet, and she'd smell like a cheap pink soap from my dispenser. Then they'll fill up water bottles from the utility sink and leave. My regulars complained, "Yes, this isn't a shelter." And they'd say, "They're taking up space." I intended to ban them, I really did. I walked over one Tuesday night, ready to point at the patrons only signs. But as I got close, I heard her on the phone. Her voice was a desperate whisper, trying not to wake the boy who had fallen asleep in a laundry cart. "I can be there at 6 a.m., sir. Yes, I have a vehicle." "No, I don't have a permanent address right now, but I'm keen. I'm reliable." A pause. His shoulders slumped. "Please, I just need one shirt." She hung up and looked at her son. Then she looked at her own shirt. It had a grease stain on the front. She tried to rub it out with spit that had just made a dark ring. She looked at her hands and started to cry, silent, shaking sobs, so the boy weren't here. I looked out the window. The car was packed to the ceiling with blankets, bags, and a cooler. There weren't bums. They were the working poor. She was probably delivering dinner to people's houses while her own kids slept in the back seat. I walked past my office. I felt a lump in my throat, the size of a dry sheet. I looked at the sign on the wall, $5.50 per load. $5.50. That was a gallon of gas. That was a meal. When you're living in a car, King tells are luxury, trade for survival. But you can't get better. You simply trying to get a better job if you look dirty. It's a truck, a cruel spinning truck. I grabbed a roll of duct tape and a marker. I walked over to Machine 10, my biggest, most expensive washer. I taped a sign over the coin slot that said, "Broken. Cycles run, but coin slot can't. Need to test with clothes inside. Renewed." I cleared my throat. "Excuse me, miss." She jumped, looked terrified. "We leaving? I'm sorry, we just made it." "No," I grunted, pointing at Machine 10. "That unit is acting up. The sensor is busted. It won't run empty. I need to run a test cycle with weight in to see if the drum is balanced. Do you have anything you can throw in there? You'd be doing me a favor." She looked at me confused. Then she looked at the machine, then back at me. She saw the eye in my eyes. I have a few things," she whispered. "Good," I said, handing her a cup of the premium detergent. "Use this, the cheap stuff clogs the pipes." That night I washed everything. The boys ready, their uniform, their blanket. While the machines hummed, the boy ate a granola bar I accidentally left on the table. For the first time in weeks, I saw the woman smile. She didn't look like a homeless person anymore. She looked like a mom. It became a routine. Every Tuesday, Machine 10 was broken. But here's where the story changes. One night, a guy named Mike, a construction worker who's been coming here for a decade, caught me taping up the signs. He looked at a woman folding warm clothes in the corner. He looked at the signs. He didn't say a word. He just walked over to machine 10, lifted the lid, and taped a $10 bill to the inside. The next week, I found a box of dryer sheets left on top of the machine with a note. All the test runs. Then a $20 bill tucked into the soap dispenser. Then a bag of gently used kids' clothes left in the Luston plant with a sticky note. Too small for my sons, maybe the test pilot can use things. I never asked for donations. The community just woke up. They saw what I saw. They realized that the line between us and them is razor thin. One bad medical bill, one label, one rent hike, and any of us could be staring in a washing machine we can't afford to turn to. Last month, a woman, the name is Maya, came in. She wasn't wearing the driver uniform. She was wearing a blazer she found in my lost and found, washed and pressed very crispy. In her, she said, she stood tall. I don't need to help you test the machine tonight. My stomach dropped. Everything okay? I got the job. She beamed, tears rolled in her eyes. Customer service manager. Full-time benefit. We got an apartment approved this morning. We moved on Friday. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a crinkled $5 bill. She tried to hand it to me. For the electricity, she said. I pushed her hand away. Keep it. Via the kid pizza to celebrate. She hugged me. A stranger hugging an old man in a laundromat. He didn't just wash my clothes, she whispered. You washed away the shame. You gave me my dignity back so I could walk into that interview like a person. Maya and Leo don't come here anymore. They have a washer in their apartment, but machine 10 is still broken every Tuesday. And now there's a new regular, an elderly man who lives in the Motel 6 down the road. He helps me test the machine now. We're here in a world that's obsessed with status, with who has what. We judge people by their shoes, their cars, their addresses. But I learned something in the spin cycle. Poverty isn't a lack of character, it's a lack of cash. And sometimes the barrier between getting up and getting up is just a clean shirt. Look around your neighborhood. Look at the people you usually look past. If you have the power to make someone feel human again, do it. You don't need a non-profit. You don't need a tax write-off. You just need to notice. Soap is cheap, dignity is priceless.